I'm Liberty. I'm here with NME at Leeds and Reading 2023. I'm sat here with the wonderful Arlo Parks.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Welcome to Reading. How was your set?
It was really fun. Honestly, this is my first time at Reading, not as a punter, because I came here when I was about 15, under very different context. So it's nice to be here a few years later. And playing this festival is really special. So I feel like it's a lot of people's first festival. So there is that kind of fresh, like youthful excitement, which I really love about Reading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What was the crowd like for you while you were here? Because it is quite early in the day. The weather's been a little bit hit and miss.
It's funny because like as soon as, it was 2 minutes till stage and suddenly the heavens opened and the rain was pouring down and I was like, oh God, what's it going to be like? And then on the second song, the rain stopped completely and there was a little rainbow and I feel like that was a good sign.
It's quite fitting, right?
Yeah, and honestly, people were really giving me a lot. Like people were really engaged. I feel like there was this sense of like people showing up for me. I felt really like supported and held, which was cool.
And fans were very, very lucky today. They didn't just get to see you once. You also made your special guest appearance with Holly Humberstone.
Yes.
How was that? What was that like?
Oh, she's the sweetest, honestly. We bumped into each other a couple of times, and I was a big fan of her music. And then she asked me kind of last minute whether I wanted to kind of join her on stage. And it's something that I absolutely love doing. Like I did it at Glastonbury with Phoebe and at Coachella as well, and I think there's something really special about joining the stage with a friend. And Room Service is such a beautiful song, that sense of missing your friends from afar and wanting to kind of lock yourself away from the world and reconnect and kind of delve into your friendship. So it was a special song to do as well, for sure.
You've got to tell us, have you heard her new album by any chance? Her
No, I
upcoming
haven't.
debut?
I haven't.
You need to
No.
get working on that. Give us a scoop.
I know. I need to. I'll get undercover.
Everyone's really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You can report back to us.
I'll
Tell us what
report
you've
back.
heard. Hey, let's talk about your upcoming project. Let's talk about the Magic Border. So what made you want to pursue like a poetry book? Why is that so important for you now?
Yeah, I wanted to be a writer before I wanted to be a musician. Like I always wanted to write books and poetry and scripts. So that's kind of my first love, I guess, in a way. And I never really had the courage to do it for some reason. I was kind of nervous about declaring that I was an author to the world. For some reason that felt a little bit more terrifying. But because I was writing on the road and kind of collecting all these fragments in my notebooks, I decided to kind of build a book out of kind of what I didn't include in my record and ideas that I wanted to just kind of leave as they were. And then my best friend contributed photographs of his, like lovers and people he grew up with and people he observed in the streets of Berlin and New York and kind of created this tapestry. So it happened really organically. For sure.
What made you think now is the right time to do it? So obviously there's so many factors that came into it. What made you think, okay, 2023, the same year that you've just put out a new album, what made now the right time for you?
Honestly, it was just intuition. I think it just felt right to do it. And I think, I always view what I do as very much a journey, like something that I want to gradually kind of add to over the years. So this felt like a nice time to make the first step. And who knows what's next. Yeah.
And a lot of the book as well is some of your lyrics, right, from My Soft Machine.
Yeah.
Why was it important for you to showcase your lyrics in a different way? So not just in a audio way, but also something that you can read. Do you think it helps fans connect with you in a different way?
Definitely. And I think also showing the lyrics kind of juxtaposed with the poetry and seeing how they kind of melt into one another. And I've always loved, because I'm a lover of lyrics, I guess that's what I look for in a song. And every time that I'm listening to a record, I'll be holding the vinyl and like reading the lyric sheet, and that's something that's important to me as a fan. So I like the idea of kind of giving that to fans of me, and hopefully they kind of discover little nuggets that they hadn't discovered before.
What kind of artists did you have that with, or albums in particular?
Oh my goodness, so many. There are artists like, I'm a big fan of Big Thief, the indie band. And I do that a lot with Adrian Lenker's lyrics because they're so rich and poetic and beautiful. I used to do it a lot when I was younger because I was like a big fan of rock music. So a lot of like Deftones and like Arctic Monkeys. Their first record was the first record I ever bought on my little like iPod Nano. Is that what it's called? Like the tiny little ones.
The tiny ones.
Yeah, and I was obsessively reading all the lyrics to that record. I love that album.
Amazing. Which Monkeys album was it?
The first one. The very
The
first
debut.
one.
Can't go
Iconic.
wrong.
I love that, like, the first album is usually my favorite of a lot of different artists because there is that purity, I think, to it, like, where they're just doing it at home in their own way and no one has really discovered them yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, it really shows them in their purest form, doesn't it? Before
exactly.
they start working out what people like, what people don't like. It's exactly who they are.
It is. And I feel, I don't know, I feel very connected to the sense of, like, trying to maintain that spirit of, like, doing it as if no one was watching, as if it was the very first time. So I try and, like, hold on to that as much as possible.
So it's been a couple of months since you put out My Soft Machine. Now that it's had a bit of time to simmer, sit with fans, what have you noticed that the response has been like from them?
It's been really wonderful, honestly. I think in this album making process, I was taking a few risks, you know, even like songs like Devotion, having more kind of heavier rock moments and involving a lot more of my own production. You know, it felt kind of scary to take those risks and kind of see how people reacted. But I think especially playing festivals like today and doing my headline tour in Japan and Australia and like seeing how the work had reached, I feel like the fans have really enjoyed it, which is cool. Yeah.
It reminds me of, I think it was in 2021, just after you put out your debut, you spoke to Enemy about the response that you got from fans and how you found it really sort of bizarre and weird that you could write a song in your London flat and people across the world would know the words to it. Now it's been a couple of years since then. Do you still have that little bit of sense of disbelief?
I still, obviously, like, definitely. I think there's no way that can ever feel normal. You know, I think that especially so many people spend their whole lives writing music in their bedrooms or in studios and it never kind of reaches beyond their friendship group. And I think that being able to be in Tokyo and sell out a room and have people like singing along to lyrics when it's not even their native language, it's always going to be something that I think I'll never take for granted.
How has it evolved since you first put out your debut then? Because you must be now more used to the massive crowds, you must be more used to the fan response. Would you say it's brought you closer to your fans, understanding it more and getting more feedback?
Definitely. I think that, you know, being on stage and being used to so many different kinds of crowds means that you can just always have fun. Like the nerves, there's still an element of nerves, but the nerves evaporate, I think, a little bit, and it leaves space for just like playfulness and just like having specific moment with specific people and kind of being really present and in what you're doing. So I think that at first, especially coming out of the pandemic, I hadn't really toured before. Suddenly I was kind of thrust onto these stages and felt very kind of overwhelming, and now it's just beautiful, you know?
Hey, going forward, I know it's still very, very early days, but with My Soft Machine, you have explored more genres, I'd say. So like you said, you've got the more rock elements. You've also got some more dancey, like upbeat bits there that you can really like dance along to.
Yeah.
How would you like to evolve more going forward? Is there any more genres that you'd like to maybe explore or hone in on?
Yeah, I think that I usually just allow it to kind of evolve naturally, but I really liked, for example, a song like Blades, which has those more kind of like disco-y, dancey elements. I love the way that people respond to that when I play it live. Like I want something that feels euphoric, that people can really like let loose to and share with their friends and listen to on road trips. So a bit of that, and then also maybe something in the kind of like I guess R&B adjacent world. Like I was a really big fan of SZA's last record, kind of mixing indie elements with R&B and kind of creating like sensitive soundscapes. So a little bit of everything, always. Yeah, always.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much. We're so excited to see your book of poetry coming out soon.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time.
100%. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.